We're going? Yeah? Okay. Tanse everyone, and welcome to the Indigenous Storytelling Festival. We're celebrating 50 years of ITEP, the Indian Teacher Education Program at the University of Saskatchewan. We're celebrating with storytelling because storytellers were our original educators in our Indigenous cultures. And I'd like to welcome the director of ITEP, Yvette Arcand, to come and welcome us to this celebration.
I just want to welcome everybody to our beautiful Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis. We're always so willing and happy to have visitors, even though it may be virtual, to come and join us on our beautiful land. Like Mika said, my name is Yvette Arcand. I'm the director of ITEP, and like she also said, we're celebrating our 50th year of Indian control of Indian education in the College of Education. We'd like you to share this event. It's going to be over a few days. Check the agenda. We have some fabulous storytellers. Share that, open up your gyms in the evening, open up your community centers, get it recorded so you could share it within your classrooms. It's so important for us to be able to support our Indigenous storytellers in both the contemporary and the traditional ways of storytelling. So again, welcome. We look forward to any kind of questions or comments. Our ITEP email is itep@usask.ca. If you have any questions, my name is Yvette. Just direct them over to me. And have a good time. Grab a nice hot beverage and just enjoy the stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. So tonight we're doing a special focus on contemporary storytellers, and we have Eco-Aboriginal here tonight to perform some spoken word poetry for us. And just gonna let her get set up and then she'll start. Okay, you wanna share?
Yeah, please. Okay. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, so hello everybody here physically and everybody joining us online and from those of us in the future. Hello, I'm Janelle Puopskonius. I go by my stage name Eco-Aboriginal. And I come to you, even from today, from Little Pine First Nation. I'm a mom, first and foremost, and it shapes how I view the world, the urgency of making change, I guess, or telling stories. And not only the outpour with the gifts that we have as storytellers, but also the listening and the intake. A lot of my, what we'd call libraries or knowledge keepers back home are starting to get sick or old or just pass away. And I hope one day that I get to be that, where people can come to me with questions, with advice, asks, people who want to tell me stories. Because as Richard Wagamis has said in the past, you know, all we are is story. And every day I'm working towards trying to share the gifts that we have in contemporary ways, but also blending and braiding in old ways and digital ways even. This year I've been blessed to have released something in 360 video or VR work. So storytelling can take many forms. And today I wanted to open up, not with land acknowledgements because I'm Indigenous in Treaty 6 and this is my territory, but with a welcoming. And this is what I want to say about that. And of course, in my nerdy fashion, I named it something in English called land-based and participatory experiences. So here it goes. The wow in my language means welcome, means there's more than enough space for you here, means this is safer spaces for identities, means inclusion is just one piece to this greater understanding. In 3 syllables, the wow. In this land-based and participatory session, we will dress for the weather, and whether or not you are ready, the workshop is to let yourself play. Bound and fall into this ecosystem, walk into these crunchy grasses, hit the ground and get dusty, learn that these grass prickle, and they're just as belonging to these prairies as you are, that your body balances in the air. You learn that the sun activates the cells, lets your skin awaken, and feel the love from the sun. In this workshop, you will get what you give. You pay what you can. You get more than you give, and in the end, you get to take this home. Let the sediment then become part of you. Let the Mother Earth catch you, uphold you, and scold you, teaching you all at once. And then in the end, you say thank you in the good way that you know how, and always be open. Welcome to your workshop. Thank you. Thank you, Mika and College of Ed, for having us in this space. It feels very good. I'm a poet, and all I say, it feels good. No, there's more than what I get than saying good from being on a stage, from telling story. It's just like there's this feeling of life that you get. People who know me know I'm just like an introvert, but when I come to these stages and being able to hear voice, this is a gift, and it's also been a responsibility. So I feel both impassioned and responsible and care for what I'm saying and bringing to each community. So as a storyteller, it's kind of like you realize you have persuasion and some power, but sound, and I was just researching this today again in my nerdy way, but sound first stops at a cell with one molecule and one breath and one voice, and each cell then vibrates to other cells in energies in both waves and particles, just like light. So the way it goes out to people, it's both physically and emotionally and spiritually energy. And that's what's beautiful about the word is, well, it has an ability to influence folks, but it also has an ability to interrupt. And this next piece that I'm going to read talks about the prairie colonialism, the settler colonialism, the system and structure that we're under, but it's told in a way that reminds us to keep ourselves. We are circles trying to exist in square spaces and never lose who you are. They say they're proud of these prairies, vast expanses of fields. They say they're feeding the world, yet I've grown wary, awarely performing poems in home territories where I've had to contort my body, suppress my curves into flat edges, crush my feeding just to find me fitting in these basic spaces, checkerboard patches, and prairie pride. In shades of green and brown, tilled and scraped for sacred parcel, forming 1 acre just to fit in these prairies that they now call home. Under undulating hills, I've watched under clasp hands between who you call my protector and then who you call us, we the cursed, making way for trains, planes, and telephone lines. My sacred rock formations, now medicine wheels on the bus for these safari tourists, backpacking just to see our savage, to meander along our curving rivers, bushwhacking through our thick bush with their $5 treaty money just to see the back room of my Mother Earth in a buckskin thong. Here I am, no face, no image, no name, just wild hair over faceless face, the word slut and shame defaming every one of my daughters, then defacing every one of my children, and their own white son is the one who did it. Instead of accountability, they choose to save the killer, in the place where the skin is the color of the lands, where my eyes are deep brown with black soil and black sand, where I am the land. A contorted body, a square cut, tattooed in the magnetic north, south, east, west, borders and tracks crisscrossing in the violent twisting of my being. Yet we are being made out as the ones who are crooked, and still they make us dance for them. And still we decide to contort our bodies, and still we accept their box tobaccos and their reconciliation in the name of our liberation with their pretendian and their pan-Indian isms. See, these economic opportunities, they cost me. It's another day of wondering how much trigger-trap trauma comes in their anti-racism education. Another sun, another day I question. How is their trigger being fired on me today? Am I now fitting a value of worth of parcel of their economic system designed to end me? No, because we will not contort our bodies. We will not suppress our curves into flat edges. We will not crush our freedoms just to find me fitting into their checkerboard patches. We are not shades of green. We are brown, tilled, and scraped. We are sacred. We are one, and we will not assimilate. See, there is no pride in these prairies when their stories cover up in the strata and these endless fields. Thank you. So stories have this ability to help build, help show mirrors, help unpack, help create interruptions. And even though, our stories may not be absorbed today, they might be absorbed in the future. They might be that mental interruption that kind of changes somebody's mind. I've heard, a very well-known scholar from this university say that their one student that they could remember really hated their anti-racism course, but then 5-6 years later, they come back and say, I really needed to hear that. You've changed the course of my education. And so I hope one day I get to be someone's interruption. And if not, the people who are needing to feel strength, to know that they're seen and represented, to know that their existence and their resilience keeping on going is going to help, is going to continue on. I hope that's what they receive. That's the energy I'm putting into the world. And I hope that's what it is. And this one is to celebrate the little brown girl inside me. Because not as part of my story, and I don't tell that part of me anymore, is that I used to be ashamed of this. I used to sit inside a lot, just so I didn't have to visually look this way. And that's happened from growing up in the prairies here, where I was treated a little bit better if I wasn't a little bit darker. And it's not that way everywhere, but it was enough for me to learn that. So this is for me, where I hold the sun. With outstretched palms, I then become one of these prairies. Wearing the soil upon my skin, I am a seasonal cycle, one of this land. I am of water and of blood. A bone, I flow freely, holding water above and in between surfaces. In this water, in her silent nights, magnetically, I am pulled into this equator, called in by the tides to balance and to center, between our place and here and creator. Photosynthetically, I breathe life from breath, from wind, from words, spitting new ideas, moving stories and uplifting in these breeze. a combination of carbon, life form, and water and combustion all at once. In all the ways that I am, feminine and masculine, connected through the water, moved by the wind, boldened by these fires. I wear the sun upon my skin, and I hold the sun. Thank you. So, thank you for being with me as I tell these stories. I'm going to pull some more up on my phone because I don't want to read this last one here. But let me tell you a little story about myself a little bit more. So as I said, I came from a First Nations community. It wasn't all doom and gloom. The beautiful part about having challenges is this resilience that is built within you as well. And oh, no, this is the wrong one. And the resilience that happens from that experience is something that I've pulled from generations before. And it's something that I'm hoping that my children can carry forward. Where is this poem? And now this one is called Hands. And it reminds me that just as we have done before, in doing what has been done is a continuation of our culture. So I realized, even though, I don't like making the soups and the bannocks or like the beating and all that stuff, sometimes you don't really like it, but you have to do it. Is this that it's a continuation that has been happening and is yet to become. So this is a dedication to my aunties. I'm 5'7", shortest of all my siblings, raised in homelands with hands pumping water, drinking water from cupped hands in river springs, crouching to the pool. Hands, they held me steady. Hands to cover wide open laughter, holding in this joy for later. Playing thumb wars between my own expectations and back then my teenage depression. But I never laughed as hard as I did as a kid, and I never learned as hard as I did with hands on lands, on teachings. And I never felt so part of family as I did with all 8 of my aunties. That's 16 hands and 159 fingers, cooking feasts and bannocks and breads with wild meats and berries, flurries of hands creating soups from scratch. Hands on every part of every animal honored, not wasted, teaching me like this. Roast in one hand, hunting knife in the other, carefully turning consistent thin cuts, hands holding up fresh harvest, hands holding up ancient teachings still here to hold with us. Yeah, I'm 5'7", shortest of all the siblings, being led by the hands of babies, our children and our young, hands holding babies, hands holding just my one thumb, guiding us, leading us into the future. This is their world now. Their hands pick up our pieces. They will put them back together, pick up pens of our storytellers, we weave our braids, and they will continue too, with the hands that let us build what's best for them. Raising hands only to lift them, show them high five and handshakes, then you rock, paper, scissors until your hand shakes, making fun, hands holding teachings, passing only bimatsuwin, like this, roast in one hand and hunting knife in the other. Thank you. Awesome. I haven't been checking on the time, so 10 more minutes, great. Okay, so let me tell you a bit more about some stories here. I wanted to talk a bit about how I came into this work, because it wasn't something that just came easy. It didn't just fall out of me. Like I said, I'm an introvert or a shy girl back in the day. much more comfortable, but I choose what I say when I say it. And I always wanted something, that art, something that I liked and loved. And that just kind of, like I said, fell out of you. Something that was easy, and nothing ever came easy. I wanted to play an instrument when I was a kid, and what was available was my voice. And, sometimes kids aren't encouraged to use them or do other things with your voice. And so I didn't find that until much later in life. I thought about, recorder, then you hit up the recorder and then it gets mom crazy. So I didn't pick that one up. There's a drum, but we won't get into that, but I couldn't really quite get into drumming. So what was there? What is art in a First Nations community? What does it do? Well, when I see art, and what I would have loved to experience was this opportunity to know that I can create. From a very young age, that I have this thing that I can shape and be autonomous for. That art isn't just on paper or in museums or with white hair. You know what I'm saying? Art could be this opportunity for you to find this beauty inside yourself and share it with the world. I think that's what I would have found as a child with art. And so it took me a really long time to find it because I didn't explore, I didn't get the encouragement. But I did get this curiosity, and I kept that with me. And I think that's part of the joy that I experience now as an adult, is this connection that you don't lose. Well, you could, but that we try not to lose, is this connection to our inner child imagination. And I think that's what art would have done for me at a very young age. Who knows what it could have been. But we're here now. So I encourage all people to explore. And my first poem that I heard that actually gave me goosebumps, and I always give credit to Cody Dale, because Cody, he was a spoken word artist and a slam poet before I even knew that existed. And I've given them props to let him know he inspired me. But it was at the very second MMIW, Idle No More, down in Station 20 West. I remember because my car got hit and somebody drove away. But that day was the first day that I got goosebumps hearing someone talk about poetry and speak to solidarity about missing and murdered Indigenous women. And so I I want to tell poems. I want to tell stories. I want to be that little niche. I want to feel joy. I want to have others experience goosebumps if I have that opportunity. And so it didn't sound very beautiful at the beginning. It's like I was looking at a bush. I was like, the trees are shaking and the birds are chirping. It was very, very basic. But after time, I became impassioned by telling the story as Idle No More unfolded, because a lot of our stories were being clouded by the media, or if you were lucky enough to read people's social media posts. So it was a chance for us, the quiet ones, to put our rage on a page, to put the deep love we had for the future on a page. And maybe it was only for us sometimes. But my first reading wasn't for another 3 more years after that. And it was a long story short. Poetry Slam is a really cool place for people to hear your art, but it's a little subjective. So if you're into competition and reading words to derive a point or to get points, then that might be for you. But after some time and spending on the spoken word stage, I thought, well, what can I do? How can I make a life out of this? And so spoken word has been part of my journey so far. Luckily enough, I've been able to participate in different kind of readings online, virtually. So it's really cool to be back in person and reading for folks. So I'm going to read another one. And so thank you as I flip through this. So this one's called Waskesiu River Trail. And I find that I'm writing a lot more about the land, but I do a lot of comparisons to what's going on. And I thought it was very beautiful one time when I went to the north and saw one of the trails. And I was so captured by the moment that I wrote a poem about it. So here it is. I stopped to listen to a tree today. In between the canopy and the boardwalk, I saw the dance of lichen hanging on high branches. Spindles of greens and grays, they were held up to the sky. A brilliance of northern wonders in the life of a tree. Then I heard the creak. In the rhythm of the floating breeze, the sway and air dances its way through and in between them. And I thought, this is their lesson of live and let be, of how the wind and the tree live together. This is the teaching for the you and the me. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And so part of this really interesting journey of being an artist nowadays, it's just nothing's very I'm not in a classroom, I'm not in a school, just kind of independent, I'm not with a gallery. And so we take up different kinds of works, and it's a very beautiful life. I really appreciate it. This one is about the experience I had with truck wagons. Part of my journey is helping a filmmaker possibly make a movie about horses. Not just any horses, the Indian relay race. And not just any Indian relay race, the women in the Indian relay race, which is different. It's very different. It comes from a very Indigenous matriarchy's perspective. But this is what I wrote about the truck wagons. In late June, with new summer and the strawberry moon, fine dust rises and settles slowly, filtering the sepia on the grandstands, and the sun lowers and begins to meet the night. This four-wheeler putters, and it drags clanking plow behind our eyes, watching the kicking dust as we wait for the next heat. Round barrels and in figure eights, peppy announcer warming up, racing hearts full of anticipation. It's race time. The smell of straw and horses and buttered popcorn sit in between our social distances. Diesel and dirt and hollow echoes of country twang holds this high energy. Teams roll in staggered orders, shimmering metals on top of leathers and vinyl in coordinating colors. Wooden chuck wagon box and metal frame. Icons in the days of the good old days, they say. Echoes silence as these Palmaker and Little Pine Valley hills watch over Value View racetrack. Settlers on horses riding towards us always meant war, so excuse me if the fire gun's off when the settler cowboy stares too long. Shaking outfits on teams, 2 pair and 2 outriders, spoked wheels creak and squeak and roll over plowed dirt. Trap music in the infields to these cowboys as they measure their movements, holding horses and our attention, and silence rushes over the crowds. It's race time. Beep. Outrider holding horses jumps into action. Horse lunges forward with wild eyes and flaring nostrils. Driver grasps the reins, pulls left, then right, holds on for dear dash for the burn and torn. 4 horses times 4 limbs times 3 teams equals 48 horsepowers and thunderous legs, ready to rip, race, and rally round barrels out to the racetrack. Metal clasps, rings, pins, harness, leather studs, ringing into the fading light, making melodies for memories of wagon racers and old ranches. Thank you. Okay. I just want to say one more and maybe just close it off. I'm just trying to find poems. Yes. So what can I tell you on this last bit of things? So back home in the res, there's this really cool opportunity that I get to have. Like, I get to have millions of cats. Not millions, but I have like a few. And so, and I have one res dog. And my res dog wakes me up anywhere between 6 and 7 a.m. every dang morning to bark into the liminal. And then he barks also into the evening time, and I just love him for that. He protects us in more ways than one. He scares away the coyotes and protects the kitties. He plays with my son and my daughter. And when I'm sad, he just puts his little paw on me, does something really silly, and then makes me laugh, and then all of a sudden it's just okay. So they have this really wonderful blessing for us all. So if you ever have the opportunity to do that kind of work, I really encourage that. So these are the 5 reasons why I hashtag save res dogs. Because one time I had a res dog that I need to drive to town because the owner didn't have the finances or the support to take their animal in. And so instead of putting them down that day, we were able to save that res dog. And that was it for me. I knew this was the right thing to do. And we save res dogs because, number 5, res dogs remind us. In days before the reservation, this patchwork, before residential schools, placements of invisible borders between our actions and our words, res dogs were our helpers. See, the role of the res dog reminds us our ways of knowing. See, dogs were born of the wolf, pack beasts following the lead. They're sacred, setting the pace of elders, of children. They're protectors to follow then behind them. Traditions following their kinship, choosing to be our little brothers, carrying our travois. They are our gentle reminders, bundles of teachings and reflections of ourselves. Be kind to our little brother, compassionate to our kin. Dogs are our reminders of Wakutuwin. Number 4, a res dog is truly sovereign. One of a collective dog nation belonging only to each other. They say F borders, honoring territories, and still live on this land, truly living in all the words that matter, with their dog language and their dog language and their dog land and their dog culture. The res dog is sovereignty. Let us follow their lead. Number 3, our relationship to the res dog is a reflection between ourselves and our ways of being. Our relationship to our dogs speak to our pedagogies, meaning who we are is what we do, not what we say. Cultural enthusiasm then gets easier than living in these teachings. After their speech has ended, after their mic has turned off, after their post stops trending. So look. Number 2, res dogs understand Indigenous languages, hearing our ancestors better than we can. Res dogs bark into cold nights, stories and songs and yips and howls, sending messages across multiple dimensions and multiple languages in Michif and Dene and Anishinaabe, Soto, and all the dialects of Cree. Res dogs, they will perk their ears. They will witness your energy. They have understanding and reading between the lines, knowing the differences when you say awas and when you mean it. And number 1, res dogs are indestructible beasts. They are tough, Billy Jack Terriers with 9 lives and true grit, like they will take this right paw, and put it across your left cheek, like they shaved last night and woke up to a full beard with a fist instead of a chin. Res dogs are terminators, sent from the ancestors to save us from ourselves. Res dogs say, "A stomp with me if you want to live," in languages of love, loyalty, and survivance. Res dogs are almost indestructible, and that's why we should save res dogs. Thank you, everybody, for your time and your attention, and I hope we all continue telling our stories and spoken words in the way that we know how. Thanks.
Thank you, Janelle. Whenever I hear you telling story, I always feel it all the way to the emotional part, and I just really appreciate that. And so glad we invited you tonight to share with us. So next up, we have Tennille K. Campbell, the published poet and phenomenal woman from our community here, and she's going to share some of her storytelling with us.
Hello. Oh my God, just me and like a camera. It's like OnlyFans. Wait, you best. As you know, I'm Tennille K. Campbell. Yes. And I'm Dene from English River and Métis from the Batoche area, and currently super low energy because I've just been like hosting my parents. And I swear at this age, like they're retired. And it's just payback. It's just payback for raising you. So like all day I was driving my mother around town because apparently you forget how to drive when you get old. So I've been to both value villages, all the home senses, the winners. Yeah. We had to go to 3 Walmarts. Like, I'm exhausted. I don't go to Walmart unless she's here because she's very specific about this $10 giant bag of dog food that I have to carry. Because like when she's on the res, she can carry just fine, but we're in the city, I'm carrying the 10-pound bag. So I'm exhausted. I smell of dog food, and I'm like in that space between decorating for Halloween, but like HomeSense has all the Christmas stuff out. I know. So putting that energy out there so you are feeling that with me. Stories. When I got here, I asked Mika, what are we doing? Because I come prepared, y'all. And she was just like, tell some stories about storytelling. And I was like, thanks, Mika. And I think like I laugh and I slightly panic at this because I think like for so many of us, this idea of storytelling is held in this grand upper scheme of like, this is what our elders did, this is what our aunts and uncles do, like traditional storytelling. And it took me a long time to realize that, you know, the youth are some of the best storytellers that I've ever heard, that your crazy cousin with the stupid stories is one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. To kind of take it out of this super traditional, all around the fire, every story must have a lesson vibe. Because that's what I thought, right? And then once I got past that, and, you know, I got past it, stories are stories to however you react and feel them and listen to them and see them. But once I got past this idea of having to be super traditional and super correct and super something I'm not, obviously, it was a lot easier to kind of speak my truth and speak my honesty. And I think that's what I go for when I storytell. I'm a really like bad liar because I have no patience. I have no poker face. If I don't like you, I don't like you. If I love you, I love you. There's no in between. And storytelling has given that ability to kind of like speak that hard truth in a kind, comforting way. I'm the mean auntie. But I haven't picked any poems, but a lot of these poems come with story. And this is one of my favorites because I think as an Indigenous person, dating off reserve and dating out of town and dating out of community is so common. Like a 4-hour road trip to see your boo? Yes. You know, flying across the country to see them perform? Okay. You know, going across the medicine line? Maybe not. I have a warrant for speeding. But I wrote this in memory of this guy, and I can't say his name. I never say names, but we were 16 and we were in love. And his parents were the best parents best in-laws I've ever had. And my parents and his parents used to trade like fish and blueberries and strawberries, real traditional with their kids. And I was the older, I was 16, he was 15. So I got to drive his dad's truck. His dad would just give me the keys and be like, have a good weekend. Yes, Dad. And I remember this like clinking of like frozen fish in the back as I was driving and like listening to this. And I wanted to write a poem in recognition of like how food and tradition still make its way into like our romances. So from Nadine Zoo, page 13. Snagging while Indigenous means road trips from res to res, 100 miles, a story in the making, meeting grandparents, cousins, and aunties, because there are no secrets among family. Snagging while Indigenous means bringing dry meat across borders, jars of canned fish clinking in the back seat, bags of frozen blueberries waiting to be handed to relations, ancient bribes for modern flirtations. Snagging while Indigenous means DMs and double taps, and casually saying, hey, I was just in the neighborhood. We should hang out. I know you're a cousin. Oh, those cousins. Ooh. Like how much am I allowed to say? Like you've read you don't care? We're adults, we don't care. Yes. Storytelling. So I think like many of us, I'm not a language speaker. I'm not a mother tongue language speaker. That sounds so fancy. I don't speak Dene and I don't speak Michif. And multiple reasons, and I'm trying, but I think as a non-language speaker, there's always this sense of, not necessarily shame, but awareness that you don't always get the joke that your aunties and uncles are telling. Things are lost in translation, and although we're trying and we're doing it, and we will do it, not speaking our language limits our storytelling in a whole different level. And I'm always kind of aware of that. And when I speak, I've been taking Cree for like the last 5 years, and I'm still very, very bad at it, top way. And I remember one night I was speaking and I was like saying everything out loud, and my brother was sitting beside me, and he's an ass, but he's 11 months younger than me, and we're very close. And I was like speaking everything out loud, eh? And then all of a sudden he was just like making the sign of the cross, and he's mumbling. I'm like, what? He's like, I don't know what you're speaking, but that don't sound like Cree. I'm a little worried. And I was like, screw you. And it made me laugh so much because that's just it. Like, we will rag on each other for like these sad truths of like, you're a lousy language speaker. But did it guide me or goad me into becoming a little bit better? Yes, I passed my Cree class. Mika's like, thank goodness. But I think language, there's always going to be a want and a yearning there for the what if. Like, what are we missing? What are we filling in? What is lost in translation? And this was a poem I wrote for that. I want to taste your language as you whisper it in my mouth. Let my tongue lick and suck your vowels and consonants. You make me want to slow dance under moonlight and snowflakes, hand tangled in your hair, led down into heartbreak and hope. Make me your fry bread. Make me your Indian corn soup. Make me your candied salmon. Make me your strawberry anything. Feast on me. Oh, that one was sad. I could read a sad love poem. I could read a sad love poem. I don't know if you guys have ever dated a younger person. Don't. As I've entered my late 30s, I find like I have these barriers of like 10 years older, 10 years younger, and I feel like that's fine. And it's a good age limit. And I did 12 years younger for a very petty reason, because my ex had a girlfriend 12 years younger than him. And I was like, I could do that too. Never enter a relationship with pettiness. And it was just a little too off. He was talking about kids and adventures, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I have a kid. I've had my adventures. Like, you're on a different level, a different track. Oh, it was hilarious. But for being such like a younger person, a younger relationship, there was such a freedom in how he both expressed his love and his affection and his joy. And I realized it was just because he had never had his heart broken the way that we had had. He'd never had that big love, that big ache, that big, what do I do now? And I was like, wow, that must be nice. Like, that was a while ago. So the way that we displayed affection was completely different. And for him, it was over the top. And, you know, let me hug you, let me hold your hand, let me do this. And for me, I'm like, let us clasp hands in the darkness of a movie theater where no one could see us. That means I love you. But this is for the younger lovers. You sit on my couch, rubbing my feet, toenails painted your favorite shade of blue, teasing me about my fear of commitment. I'm ready, you say, and I look away. You ask, what if someone steals me? And I laugh. Such is it. If someone steals you, you are looking to go. You can't take what doesn't want to be taken. You may be ready, 26 and kidless, looking for that forever kind of love. Starlight and sunsets in your eyes. I've had that kind of love. The madness of it all. I've made a life with someone, believed the dreams and the lies, and watched him get stolen. I've hurt and ached and cried and fought to be this woman. Feet laying across her younger lover, toenails painted blue, his favorite color, laughing over the threat of losing. Such as, you're already gone. You just don't know it. Such as it in Dene means like my sweetie. A really interesting tidbit, speaking of language, that I like learned. There's Dene and Cree in this book, because even though I'm not a language speaker, I'm still going to advocate for it, and I still want representations of my language in this love poems. And one of the girls that I worked with, she was a young girl up in Lalache for the Dene translations, and I was like, I need a word for lover, but I need it to be like gender neutral. And I need it not related to like marriage. Like, I don't mean wife, I don't mean husband, I don't mean girlfriend, I don't mean boyfriend. I want it like genderless, and I want it to like indicate a sexual or sensual romance. And she was like, oh, oh boy. And so she asked her auntie, and she asked her mom, and she asked her grandmas, and then she asked her friends, and they like had this whole circle. And then she was like giggling, and they're all like laughing about this and like coming up with words, or trying to. And she's like, one of the problems is that when you speak of somebody, you're connecting yourself to them through relationship. Like, this is your kinship. This is your relationship to them. So having a lover without tying yourself to them is hard. Like, we don't have that word yet. And then, like, as a non-speaker, I'm like, let's make it. Like, let's make this word. She's like, I think you have to learn the language before you start making up words. And I was like, stay humble. Right. But it was a really interesting thought process. What am I at? Because I can babble, you guys. Like 10, 15, 10, 15? Okay. So I've had a lot of first kisses. Yeah, I deserve that. And I'm always really intrigued because I love the first kiss. I love the potential. And far too often, the potential lets me down. But there was this guy a couple summers ago. And I swear to God, like, we walk around town after a wedding party, and it's 3 a.m, and the fog, and like the sun, not the moon, and like the street lights, and we're in our hometown. And like, we can't go anywhere because like we don't live there, right? Like, we're just visiting our parents. So I can't go to his house because his parents are there, and he can't come to mine because my parents are there. So it's like we're 16 all over again with nowhere place to go. So he's like, let's go to the school. And I was like, okay, let's go hang out in the schoolyard and like play on the swings. I could do that again, 15 years later. So we do. And I'm like leaning on this fence that I have literally like leaned on all of my high school. And he leans over and he kisses me. And I don't know if it's the place or the location or the fact that he was like drinking a beer and having a smoke, but it was perfect. And it was like the Northern Lights and coming home. And I don't know if I fell in love with him. Yeah, but he deserved a poem, all right? I know, I can't give too many things away because he's still in my life, but yeah. Listening to songs that remind me of the North, crowded dance floors, two-stepping beer in hand, friends' laughter surrounding, your arms around me, your voice in my ear. You kiss like the Northern Lights, lips and tongue dancing in ancient precision, capturing me like a child who whistles at the unknown. You tasted like morning fog, late nights and low moans, rye and coke, cigarette smoke. You tasted like someone else's man. I wondered if you would think of me the next time you tasted her. Listening to songs that remind me of the North, black coffee and blue mornings, regrets and the ache of my lips that still feel you. Who else am I gonna talk about? Oh my goodness. So as much as I like first kisses, there's something so awful about having a crush on an Instagram guy. I know we've all been there. I hope we've all been there, like double tapped on somebody's thirst trap. Just me? Not just me. And I always find it really interesting because as someone who tries super hard to be authentic, and that includes like sharing my embarrassing, sharing my flaws, sharing my tragic and my truth, it's always interesting when you run into somebody who only shows their highlights and only shows their good side, and that you realize you have a crush on a fantasy. It's such an odd space to be in. And I went on a date with a fantasy and his girlfriend, and I didn't know he had a girlfriend. It was an adventure, start to finish, let me tell you. His love poem. The night we met, I fell in love with the character you played. The white buffalo, the unicorn, the wet dream in Indigenous form, language dripping, fry bread glistening, beads dazzling, lips grinning, Nietzsche moose, you made me believe. You didn't lie. I already knew you. My heart tripping along, falling, laughing. I wrote our love poems from nothing. So first dates mean last dates, secret girlfriends showing up amidst bathroom chats and knowing eyes, secret DMs and secret apps. I might still have your dick pic, but she's sitting in your lap. The night we met, I fell in love with the character you played. But really, who got played? Still Facebook friends. I obviously have a hard time letting go. There's this one last poem that I want to read. This one, my auntie's poem. Stories. So I'm a single mother. I do have like 3 brothers, but I'm a single mother with no sisters, and I'm raising a daughter. And for the longest time, I was like, oh my goodness, like, what are we gonna do? How am I gonna do this? Da, 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 da. And for me, it really meant building up and strengthening these bonds with women. Because I feel too often society, especially like European society, wants to pit us against each other, wants to make us competition, wants us to like fight each other for men, for jobs, for money. And I was like, I can't do that. I just can't do that. So I worked really hard on like opening both myself up and my energy and looking around at my friends and being like, I need more of you, which is such a hard thing when you're independent to say, I need more of you. I need more love. I need more energy. And I will give you more. And having that kind of relationship with these women so that I could show my daughter, these are your aunties. These are the women who will guide you. These are the women who will save you. And for the longest time, it was, and it has been so beautiful and so strong, and my heart out to them constantly. But we are all very different women, and for the longest time, it took me a while to understand that I was the mean auntie. And I don't mean that like I'm like mean to kids and kick them. I mean that I speak truth way too honestly, and because I'm so used to it, I'm not used to like other people's feelings being hurt by it. And it's taken me a long time to understand that we have to approach people in different ways with like kind of gentler tones. And even my gentle tone is sometimes too much. But I'm like, is it too much or you're not ready? I don't know. But that's okay, because if I'm a mean auntie, there's somebody out there who's going to be a soft auntie. You know, if I'm a loud auntie, there's somebody out there who's going to be the quiet auntie. And that's what we need, diversity and different ways of showing love and expression and safety and home. So this is my love poem for my aunties. We aren't all nice aunties, open arms and kind smiles. We don't all bake bannock, keep secret stores of dry meat and fresh blueberries. Some of us are called mean, our tongues spare no one, fools tremble before us. Some of us are called city. We live under skyscrapers, walk in ivory towers with ivory people. Some of us are too much, too loud, too real. It's hard to take our love. But an auntie is an auntie, and the mean ones tell truth you don't want to hear, and the nice ones hold you when you break. And the quiet ones keep secrets whispered in the dark, and the loud ones match your wild stories. And the elderly ones watch us all, remembering the aunties who came before. Thank you. I don't know where Mika went. Mika, come back. We're just killing time here while Mika's in the hallway. Hello. Mika. Yeah, real subtle.
Thank you, Tennille. Tennille and I have spent a lot of time together. Our books came out the same year. Our first books came out the same year, and we shared the stage a lot in readings. And it's always really interesting to be with Tennille at a reading, because people come up and just feel the need to share their love stories with her. And you know, we were sitting at a table signing books one time, and this lady comes up and says, "You want to know what my boyfriend did?" And I just kind of was like, "What?" And then after, Tennille's like, "I don't even know who that was." But I really appreciate Tennille as a storyteller, because there's a lot of honesty in her poetry that people are afraid to talk about in the open. So next up, we have the Northwest Kid, who will be performing for us. And the Northwest Kid, aka Craig, who is currently an ITEP student. So he's repping ITEP tonight too.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. As she said, my alias is the Northwest Kid. This song is called Mother Mother, and it's for Hallucination. And I featured on this song on their last project. And yeah, I'll perform it for you to start it off. Shout out to Mika LaFawn for all their hard work. It takes a lot of work to try and create your own institutions and validate your own worldviews and perspectives, and kudos to you. This song features Lillian Allen, Say, and the Chippewa Traveler drum group. But this is a shorter version just for you today. With 5D formless, spirit ginormous, like old growth in the forest that grew here before us. The bright light inside that matches our auras, phosphorescence, an array of auroras. For the love we fortify, so you're alright. Earth and sky have a brother spinning like a 45. This is not the end, it's the beginning. Make sure you're alive. Let the sound shake your vibrate your pound maker. Catch a vibe, Devil's Club, that's the tribe. We the West, take a buck and leave the rest. I've been away on some needed rest, needed breath, just like I needed death so I could find rebirth. That's how we keep it fresh, keeping it 100 until the drop down come. I'm having some fun. Wait till the drums come, wait till the dancers here, wait till the song sung. We'll feel that weight lift up off for everyone. This is Safe. So yeah, that was a really cool experience to be a part of that song. And the story behind that song was my partner was teaching in Thunderchild, and we heard about this Canadian Roots Exchange program, and so we submitted an application for the school, and it went through, and we were able to have this cultural exchange where all of these youth from Toronto came to Thunderchild and experienced like a round dance and just got to see the community, and a lot of these Thunderchild youth got to fly to Toronto, and just it was cool. They had a big cultural like event at the school, so they got to see the diversity in the schools, and they got to just take part, and like yeah, it was a really awesome experience. And me and my partner, we just happened to have like a fresh baby, and her name's Kissan, and we went out there, and I just happened to be in the area because of that event, and Hallucination were like, hey, come over to the studio and let's try and make a song, and that was the song. And yeah, this next song is called Home, and it'll stay more in the realm of the spoken word vibes. But for me, this song was a very personal song because I wrote it when I accepted fatherhood in my life. And it was before I even tried to become a father. It was just at a moment when I accepted the idea of like, yeah, I want to be a father. And so yeah, it was like reflecting back on your own identity and what love means to you. And like the purest form of love I've had until like I made a child was for my grandmother. And so yeah, this song is a reflection of that love that I received from my grandmother growing up, and a reflection of the love that I wanted to give to my future child. So this song's called Home, and there's like a little time capsule video. So you could go on YouTube and you can see my daughter. It's just, yeah, moments of time when she was first born. Can I get the instrumental up a little bit? These aching bones, they long to be home, in bed, beside you, where the current is calmer, and the nights feel longer, we could put our hands in the water, both feet too. You're my menthol and my ginger, my blanket on a cold night, my rest when I am tired, my teachings when they're told right. You are everything I have ever needed and will need my whole life, the cleansing of an old life. You hold light, you're the hour in nourishment when I am barely me, my youth, my truth, the reason I could be, my tomato soup with crackers followed by a grilled cheese, the nostalgia that I'm after, and it also fills me. These aching bones, they long to be home, long to be home. In bed, beside you, where the current is calmer, and the nights feel longer. We could put our hands in the water, both feet to LOVEHOME, LOVEHOME. You're the rain on our tin roof, the thunder of the prairies. You're a social song sung in the vibration that it carries. Your Saskatoons in summertime, sweeter than a cherry, or a jar of some jelly of my granny's raspberries. You're the tenderness I need when I need to let go. You're water for my roots that are helping me to grow. You're cedar through the concrete, your willow through the snow. You're the medicine I needed, I just wanted you to know. These aching bones, they long to be home, long to be home. In bed, beside you. Where the current is calmer, and the nights feel longer. We could put our hands in the water, both feet to LOVEHOME, LOVEHOME. Yeah, thank you very much. And so, yeah, that song's called Home. It was on a project called Dozy and NWK. And this next one it's another like recent works of mine, but it's a song I'm featured on. And it's my first time ever performing it. And it's going to be kind of odd because it's like, it's not my song. I'm just a verse on a song, but I've tailored it. So it's a little shorter and maybe it flows a little nicer, but it's called Almost, and it's by an artist named Tara Williamson. And if you haven't heard of them, check them out. They're pretty cool, and they put out an album last year. And the song is produced by Justin DeLorme Music. They're a Métis fella out of Treaty 1. And yeah, this is just, I'll just get into the song. Why not? Almost.
Almost a good man, almost a brave man, almost the man he wants to be. Never a good time, never the right time, just to stop and breathe. He moves like a whirlwind, kicking the dust up, covers the tracks up, don't get your back up, it's all history. Tearing through mountains, pushing the tears down, keeping the past round, trying to find a way to set his demons free. He's almost a good man.
He was looking for inner peace, because that's all he needs, but he couldn't find it. Angry and closed off in his mindset, he hadn't opened up his mind yet. All he felt was failure for a long time. The illusions had him blinded. It always felt like the wrong time to talk about the traumas he was hiding. He couldn't deny it, but he did. He said he wouldn't fight it, but he did. He felt the urge to write it, and he did. Even though he didn't like it as a kid, he was made to feel down for it. Run for it, but he couldn't make a run for it, because his demons would come for him and make him come for him.
Almost good man, almost brave man, almost the man he wants to be. Never a good time, never a right time, just to stop and breathe. Moves like a whirlwind, kicking the dust up, covers the tracks up, don't get your back up, it's all history. Tearing through mountains, pushing the tears down, keeping the past drowned, trying to find a way to set his demons free. He's almost a good man.
Help me out. That's how we say thank you in Gethsemane. That's regionally specific to where I'm from, out on the northwest interior of BC. And yeah, like, that song was produced by Justin DeLorme Music. Check them out. This next one was a continuation of working with them just because of this experience, and it made it to like number 8 on the countdown. It was on the Strombo show. I was really happy with it. And then yeah, I created this song called Bald Head. We're conditioned to think our power stays in outer space. Oh, let me check this out. I gotta start this over. I'm my own DJ this evening. We're conditioned to think our power stays in outer space until we're on our last limb, branching out too far and doubt our place, forgetting ancient ways that patience face too distant from the roots creations made through concrete foundation lay. Delve into inner space, also fifth dimension-ish, affirming peace. The spirit mentions it, earning piece by piece, releasing tension built from the inner space that tensions filled. I'm cleansing still. I was left out on that limb for dead. I still have skin this shit to keep my spirit fed. Inspired by what KRS said. That voice inside your head that can speak without your mouth and see without your eyes. I wanna be about that life, so we about to rise all the way up, not on the next one to flex on. No self-righteous complexion, that was never my objection. Never the best one, but a blessed one. If I stray, set protection for my neglection, okay. Even nomads have homelands, people of the elements who know land, with no land, yo. So don't be a bald head with braids. Your red skin's pale. The government's looking for someone just like you with your bill of sale. I'm using the vibration, the energy of song to heal, like the killer whale. The neo-colonial expansion continues, but will it fail if the truth is thinly veiled? No religious perception or reality enforced by a righteous male, indoctrinating youth with these tall tales and walls that we call jail. Too many boxes on the hillside and doors with the lock on that I had to knock on, polluting this planet that we walk on. No mocks on, but I rock Vans when I rock on. The grandmothers, grandfathers are not gone. A lot's wrong. We push forward and fought on and got strong and educated the people who been tied wrong. Why can't we all just get along? Why do we drop bombs and feed news through news feeds with pop songs on the .coms like it's not wrong? Who told you that it's not wrong? I hope you caught on when karma brought you everything you brought on. Dread not. Don't be a bald head with braids. Your red skin's pale. The government's looking for someone just like you with your bill of sale. So it, hey, rainbow warriors, universal poets. Wait, rainbow warriors, universal poets. Keeping it live one time, yeah, keeping it live one time. Wait, keeping it live one time, yeah, keeping it live one time. Wait, hey, yeah, NWK. Keeping it live one time, yeah, keeping it live one time. Wait, keeping it live one time, yeah, keeping it live one time. Wait, hey, yeah, NWK. Yeah, so that song is called Bald Head. It's inspired by Bob Marley. There's lots of similarities, you know. They have like slavery and emancipation, and we have like assimilation and decolonization. And yeah, like a lot of it has to do with colonization. And so it's just this concept was his concept in a way because he said bald head with dreads. And when he says like bald head, he's referring to like white supremacy. And so it's like, yeah, it's this concept of assimilation and about not being assimilated, because I'm learning it through my readings in school that, you know, we need to be transcultural. You know, there's this fella named like Willie Ermine from like Sturgeon Lake, and that's his terminology, is this idea of transcultural, being transcultural. And it's like we fought so hard to be bicultural in a time of assimilation, and it's like we're in a beautiful time where there's so much diversity here, and we're able to be transcultural. And so that's where that song comes from. This next song is a song that's produced by Toolman, but it's got like an old history, because back in the day, Mob Bounce was doing this mob medicine project, and we met Leonard Sumner. And Leonard Sumner, this was before Toolman was part of Tribe Called Red, and he was like, I got this beat from this producer named Toolman. And so we ended up checking it out, and yeah, we were at this crossroads where we were about to take all our lyrics from Mob Medicine and do this Rebel Lion project with Leonard Sumner. And this song was one of those like work in progresses that never came to fruition. And so like as an artist, there's tons of stories about works in progresses that never come to fruition. And there's whole stories about how like this verse was originally for this song, and you know what I mean? And here's its home, you know what I mean? This is where its home exists now. And you know, I got a couple of those, and this is one of them. And so this one, produced by Toolman, inspired by Leonard Sumner lyrics. It's a little more high energy. Hey, let me double check. I don't have a set list, so I might have just introduced the wrong song. I totally did. I introduced the wrong song. So I'll introduce the correct song. This song is actually called Legend of the Blue Sky, and the premise is that, you know, how we come from big cities and like in places like China and things, and there's just so much smog everywhere that they finally get into nature and they're like, so like, wow, look at all these stars. Like I've never seen anything like it. It's like that in Toronto and everywhere, and people got to leave the cities to see the stars, and all these people who just live in the cities their whole life, it's like romanticized and they don't get to see it very much. And it's like, it's a song about climate change, and it's this concept of like, if all these fires keep going on, we're going to be talking about the blue sky the same way people in cities talk about the stars. And I'll start it from the beginning. Have you heard the legend of the blue sky? Who's tried? If not, you'll hear it in due time. The blue sky with starshine, I could say part mine for effect and start line, but they aren't mine. We were on Mother Earth, but so disconnected from nature's smoke. Scratched throats and covered skyscrapers. Climate change was real, and no one would listen till we were disconnected from water in drought-like conditions. The animals and humans stopped singing their songs with no pulse on the land. We couldn't sing along with little water for our voices. We couldn't catch the rhythm. Hell-like conditions with a new ecosystem. The privatized land looked like mazes and cages. The way we ran from the fire but couldn't escape it. It was hard to burn medicine and pray for the rain. The blue sky disappeared, never seen again. Have you heard the legend of the blue sky?
Legend of the blue sky. The legend of the blue sky.
Have you heard the legend of the blue sky?
Legend of the blue sky.
We speak about the heart a lot, it's hard to not listen to the sounds of you coming through the speaker box. Speaker box. So that one was Legend of the Blue Sky. That was Kim Mortal singing. They're amazing. Check them out if you haven't heard of them already. This is the Tool Man's song that I introduced beforehand. So yeah, I do this one with Leonard Sumner whenever we're like link up in the same place coincidentally. Sometimes it's like a showcase or something. It used to be a song we did at a Mob Bound show just to kind of get the energy up a little bit. Rich man made poor decision, don't support that way of living. Fractured land, private prisons operating on racism. Patriarchy over all women, Mother Earth, all children. First rate didn't stop that, so I hop back up on the track. I'm on rhythm, go and get them. Pull together like you roll with them. So with them, trailblazing, grow with them. Don't pave that road with them. That's a whole system, that's an old system. If you know wisdom, then show wisdom, yo, listen. Protect yourself, the po-pos with them. Respect yourself, take it slow with them. Stick like the crows with them. I'm a MC, not a rap guy. I'm a red boy, not a black guy. I'm half white in the system that wants everybody baptized. That didn't write the Indian act right. Broke laws for the fast life. It's in the game, boy, in your last life. We're reincarnated for the past life. That's racist. That's life, falling for nothing instead of for something that's right. That's right, come correct when you cast die. Tread lightly when you pass by. I'm anti-pro, anti. That's why I'll spark revolution for revelation. Forget a master lake, that be nation. Stop pollution for corporation. I'm back in Houston with hella patience. Yeah, no more disrespecting women. And WK is back up in the building. Forget the fire water, we don't need it anymore. Poison all the medicine, we don't deserve a cure. It's all about the dollar in this monetary game. Culturally appropriating people from the plains, yo. Yeah, it's a little bit of a contrast to some of the other stuff I was doing. But that's, yeah, the story behind that was all of those pieces found their home eventually. You know, that's that verse. It was part of this like Strickland song featuring Carson, Grayson, and Mob Bounce, and yeah, that's still just a song that we could perform whenever we want. And this next one, it's a similar story behind it because it was originally like a verse I wrote for a Kenny Starr collab, and so like she sent me this instrumental. And we wrote to it right away, and we sent it back, and I don't know what ever happened. It just never materialized, and then because it never did, I just had this extra piece in my back pocket, and then when Boogie the Beat approached us to try and get on his next album that's coming out through Buffalo Jump Records, we just, I had it, and it was just the perfect fit, and so that type of stuff happens all the time and when you're collaborating with artists, and it's just best to like honor those stories, to not take things like that personally, and to just like, yeah, be happy with what you do end up putting out there. Let's see what's up. This one's called Way Up. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Put the phone down, come on now, yeah. Go outside to help you go within. Lean into the land, reflect on where you've been. The animals are telling us to be like them. Shut the front door, baby, buckle in. MOBB has bad medicine, no romanticize BS. Because you know when something ain't true and it's corny sounding. Energy level 10, creating sacred spaces, something bigger than our earthly bodies. And go and tell a friend we're carving space-time when we make that sound bend. Do you need wings to fly? Do you need wings to fly? I guess you don't need to, cause I'm so high. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that one's called Way Up. It's not released yet. Who knows when it'll be released, but I got 2 more songs for you so far. Thank you so much, Tamika, for putting this on. I'll do the last 2 for you. They're demos. They're just like work in progresses, and this one is this next one materialized out of my work that I was doing with a company called Empath. They do like New Asian On. They do like all of these different programmings, like ARPS programmings for like reserves schools, essentially. And so, yeah, like they have New Asian On records, and they support all these artists who are super passionate about their art. And this song features Aaron. He was one of those artists from like the Alexa, like the Cree Nation. So it's Treaty 6, but it's over in Alberta. And it's like Coal Lake kind of area for those people who want to like put it to a place. And so, yeah, like he was the very first young guy before Chubby Cree who was at the Arbor being like, I'm gonna rock your world. You know, it's like, that's Aaron. And now he's like this young adult, and his sister, you know, they both were in this music video with New Asian On. Now his sister's out there, Hazel, part of like New Asian On Records. And me and Aaron, we did an online mentorship program during the pandemic, and this was the song that we came up with. And it's produced by Dave Hodge, so it's the same producer the original producer who started those New Asian On videos. Now they have multiple producers who make those songs with youth, but he was the OG producer. And yeah, Aaron's awesome. Shout out to them. Their alias is Toke Rhythms on Instagram. So.
Seeing days that turned as prayers held the road up. We get old, we get by. We send prayers through the sky. Peace and change gives you light. You give faith, you give God. We move on, we stand by. We took turns, I slowed down. Seeing days that turned as prayers held the road up. We get old, we get by. We send prayers through the sky. Peace and change gives you light.
While we surprise those who enforce it, also endorse it. Of course it's alive when people are missing in our lives. To commit then to quit is to babysit, but they don't get it. When they see it through their pride, right now it feels like we're seeing through the skies. I just wish they could see it through our eyes. If they missing, we miss them. Spirits bigger than bodies can't contain. We body in this game. Everybody say your name. Tina Fontaine, Tina Fontaine. We don't wanna have to do this again. Yet we do this again. I'm going in, ayy, I'm going in. I'm going in, I'm going in, ayy, I'm going in. I'm going in, I'm going in. Tired of losing my friends. They gone with the wind. I'm going in for them. I'm going in, yeah.
We move on, we stand by, we took turns, I slowed down, seen days that turned eyes. Prayers held the road up. We get old, we get by, we send prayers through the sky. Peace and change gives you light, you give faith, you get guide. We move on, we stand by, we took turns, I slowed down, seen days that turned eyes. Prayers held the road up. We get old, we get by, we send prayers through the sky. Peace and change gives you light, you give faith, you get guides you. Hey, hey, ay, oh, ay, oh, hey, hey, ay, oh. Peace will change your life. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Aaron. They're super talented. I feel like there's this Anthony Edwards guy who sings in the States. He kind of does like R&B round dance, and he had a song on the Hallucination album. And I just feel like this young man's just like that. Like he's stepping into this sort of like R&B round dance, like, and it's very powerful and cool. And I support him 110%. And yeah, the next one, it's a total work in progress too. It's like a demo song. It's the last one. It's featuring Twiz. I chose it because Twiz is also ITEP alumni, and yeah, he goes Twiz the season. That's his little punchline, and like it's so cool. Like they're really talented. They finished the program that I'm in, and it's just cool to like hang out with somebody who's already finished the program and things like that, and just like maybe work on a song together. And so this is that, and this is the last one. Thank you so much, Mika, the Storytelling Festival. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing their stories and having it be so place-based. And it's like, it ties into the Leroy Little Bear philosophies about like, you know, we're not like this linear thinking, and like, that's a time measurement into units, and how like the contrast is being place-based. And so, yeah, like, it's very important that we all know our place and that we share that history and that it's legitimized within our own institutions. And so, big kudos to Mika for taking this big leap, and, you know, it's a very big thing to take on, so help me out. This last one, yeah, featuring Twiz.
This ain't no past life living, it's the future. Every day ain't giving. I'm just out here chilling. 'Tis the season, baby.
Yo, dig your well, this is Westmount, homie, if you're faking, we could tell. Keep making all the sales and breaking all the sales, but that don't mean ish if you fake it with yourself. Round of applause for the educated natives, digging their wells for the wealth of their nations, teaching the next generations patience. The cedar boughs that grew through the pavement. Where's your ID and integrity? The land and the water is the remedy. If you sip from people's wells, there's no longevity. You can't get ahead if you keep backpedaling. This a 110, the way I leveled up, I fell off through the struggle. It made me hella tough. I'm the symptom, you're the source. I know that well enough.
Round of applause for an educated native. I hope you sold and sold so you make it. So you know you ain't the first one to make it. So stay humble, dog, cause lately you've been faking. Stay calm, stay easy, stay patient. Stay who you truly are and innovative. I need my land back, dog, what you saying? Black tattoos, brown skin native.
All right, that's Twiz for you. Thank you so much, everybody. That's the very end of my set. That's the end of my storytelling and sharing. Help me out. Thank you.
Okay, wow. That was a really beautiful night of storytelling. When I was trying to, are you taller than me? When I was trying to think of, for the Storytelling Festival, how we could kind of encapsulate contemporary storytelling, it was really easy to think of 3 people that I know that are super established artists that reside in Treaty 6 territory, not necessarily from Treaty 6 territory, but they reside here. And also that they are not afraid to take up space, not afraid to speak their truths, and that we need those kinds of storytellers out there. The other thing is that they all, in their own way, work with younger artists, and I think that's really important. They help other people to learn how to tell their stories and to find their voice, and I think that's a really beautiful thing, that they also create space for other artists to come up and establish themselves. So if you're more interested in finding out about their work, or inviting them out to your community to work with your youth, or with adults in your community to work on some storytelling, you can find them on Instagram. So Tennille is at Sweet Moon Photo. Janelle is at Eco Aboriginal, and the Northwest Kid is at the Northwest Kid, right? Okay, and they all also have pages on Facebook, so you can find them on Facebook too. So thank you for sharing this evening with us. We really appreciate you coming, because we can tell stories, but stories just hit the air unless somebody's willing to listen to them. So we really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Thank you.